Welcome to another episode of Trap Talk. Today we've got our co-host Richard Marshall Jr. Welcome to the show, Ricky.
Thanks, Zach. How you doing, bud?
So you're in a hotel room tonight, huh?
Yeah, I'm down here in San Antonio for ACUI Nationals with my college team. So it's I've been on the road a little bit. So
Yep. I know you have. We just got back from Florida at the Silver Dollar Sunday night, and I know you and Justin Wyatt drove back from Arizona, correct?
Yeah, Justin, Wyatt, myself, and Tyler, we left after Wyatt's handicap shoot-off Sunday at 6 p.m. And we pulled into Justin's shop in Gibbon, Nebraska at about 2:10 p.m. Monday. And then Tyler and I had another 2-hour drive home so I could get back for college practice, and then repacked and got on an airplane yesterday and flew in here to San Antonio last night, and we started competing today.
So sounds like you're pretty busy. I definitely want to ask you some questions about the ACUI stuff, but before we get into that, I wanted to recap a little bit about Arizona State Shoot and the Southern Grand. I know we had that episode last week and we talked about getting started, but I wanted to end up hearing kind of who won, what went on, and I know you had a little bit of issues on your end. So tell the shooters where we're at with Arizona State Shoot.
So, we did the podcast about Arizona Get Ready to Shoot. I happened to jump out of the bed of Justin's truck like I do all trucks and kind of jarred my back a little bit. Didn't think anything of it. Woke up Wednesday morning and went out to grab my stuff, got it put in the Can-Am and bent down to pick up my shell bag that weighs about, a pound or two, and nothing was really in it. Kind of twisted my back a little bit weird and went out and didn't think anything of it. Shot post 1, shot post 2, went to post 3, lost. I'm like, that kind of hurt. Got over to post 4, lost. That even hurt worse. Not because my singles average, but just, missing. And my back, and my son Tyler was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm fine." He's like, "Dad, you're not fine." So long story short, I missed a couple more right off the bat on the second trap. And he's like, "Go sit down." I said, "I'm not quitting." I finished it out, run the rest of them. And I thought, well, I'll stretch a little bit, see how it is. Picked up my gun, could hardly hold it up. So I just pulled out, and we did some target testing for White Flyer that day. I kind of grinded my teeth through that with Sean Hawley shot with us. Bruce Davis did some testing. Tyler, Wyatt, Justin. We had a bunch of people down there trying these targets and stuff, which will be at a later date. We'll discuss that. But I got through that. Next day, couldn't shoot. So I just decided, you know what? I'm just going to pull out, and ended up, I had a previous engagement with a student supposed to come over on Saturday, but I did lessons every day. So I taught quite a few people. I had Gunnar Sesnick come down, which we had talked about. I did that lesson prior, so we know that on the podcast. But Gunnar shot pretty well. I did probably another 10 lessons with people. I had a girl by the name of Phoebe Krieger from shoots over at Redlands, California. She drove over, got her stock fixed, shortened it a little bit. And I think this girl's going to be a fierce competitor. So it was a good time. I got to watch Tyler shoot. Got to watch Wyatt and Justin shoot. I felt bad for them that I left them out. Sometimes they were a 2-man or 3-man squad, especially in handicap, because Tyler, is not long yardage, but
yeah.
So it was good. I don't know if people saw my post on Facebook. Jeff Nostrom, Sophie's dad, took Tyler up and let him fly his Bonanza. Tyler's always kind of thinking about being a pilot and that was a dream of his. So Jeff Nostrom made that dream come true for Tyler. So that kind of made, the trip for me and stuff. And so, but to recap, as far as shooters, in-state people, David Landwerlin won the singles resident. Sophie Nostrom, she won the doubles.
Good for her.
And then Alexis Fernan, a lady shooter. I think she's a lady junior. She won the handicap. And then Kyle Dennis won the HAA. and a friend, Tim Robb, which Tim Robb. He's
Know
been
Tim real well.
he's been a fierce competitor around the country and especially in Arizona. He won the HOA resident, and then for non-resident, little Wyatt Debris, he broke 200 along with Chase Jabrinsky's dad, and Wyatt won the shoot off.
Good for him.
So he won the singles and he won the HAA. So that's a pretty big win. I mean, Wyatt's only 14. He shot well. Luke Bauer from New Mexico, junior shooter, he shot lights out. Pretty well dominated the junior category all week. He won the doubles. And then Johnny Allen, which is a sub-junior, I think he was on the 19-yard line. He won the handicap. And then our good friend, old Bruce Davis, he won the HOA by 1 over Wyatt. And then Wyatt ended up being 1 over Sean Hawley, but Wyatt had to take sub-junior. So Sean, slid into double-A or runner-up. But I would mention, too, that, our good friend Robert Height, he was runner-up in the non-resident doubles championship.
That's awesome.
So,
and
Robert,
and a lot of people don't know Robert Height, I'm sure, but I mean he's a national champion,
world champion,
world champion driver, correct?
Yeah. Three-time world champion funny car driver. John Force Racing. I've been friends with Robert a long time. He's one of Sean Hawley's, best friends. Him and Sean shot against each other, for a long time. So, and it was funny is, Robert's wife, Leslie Height, her son Brant was there. He's 8 years old. And I've known, Brant's dad and, for quite some time and Leslie for even longer. But, it was quite funny as Leslie said, he said, Hey, Mom, that's that guy from Trap Talk. So, like I told him, I laughed and I said, now I know how some of these famous people feel, but it was quite funny. And Brant was zooming around on his scooter and it was quite fun to see a little kid so I told Brant that I was going to mention his name here on our podcast, so that was a good thing to see. Look, kid, he's starting to shoot. His grandpa brought him down, Doug Ford, and they're a great family. I think this little kid, once he starts shooting a little bit, will have some great success, of course, because his mom's a great shooter by far.
For sure. I've known him for a long time and just very talented, very great people. And I couldn't be happier for Robert to win that. I mean, he deserves it. He works hard at it. And, he's doing all kinds of other high-end competitive stuff. So for trap shooting, I know he's probably not like working at it as hard as he does racing, but that's his full-time job. Right. So,
driving 330 plus miles an hour. I mean, I asked him one time, I said, Robert, how does that feel? And he, just like, and I can imagine it's just like driving down a alleyway, a tunnel, and I mean, I've been close to 200 miles an hour on a motorcycle back when I was younger and not so smart, but, it is what it is.
I'm not doing that. Us big Italians, we like lots of metal around us. We don't like to be in a position where we're facing the street at all, but that's great shooting from everyone. I know Bruce said that he wants to do an episode with us here soon. So we're going to have him on. And I know we've had Wyatt on in the past. And I remember I put a picture up of Wyatt. He had that big Remington R in the back of his head. So I guess it was lucky. I mean, it must've worked. He got the singles, got the all around. I mean, that's good.
Let's just say he made a bet with his dad and it was loser in the HOA has to get an L carved in the back of their head. So Justin had a little issue here and there. And Justin said, well, the good thing is my hair on the back is so short, you'll never see it. And I said, well, you might have to grow it out a little bit. So,
yeah, if I was him, I'd just shave it all, just go bald for a while and just call that good.
Tucson threw some good targets. We had some windy days. We had some rain one day, pretty good. I was fortunate. I mean, I watched them. Sunday was pretty tough. My son Tyler ended up winning junior handicap champion non-resident.
Good for him.
He was on the first squad out and he missed 3 right off the bat. And now Tyler shot a lot of sporting clays. And I said, son, just go out there and shoot them like sporting clays. And he ended up missing 3 out of the next 75, ran the second box. And he's like, Dad, I should have done that on the first trap, and I probably would have broke like 97. But the wind laid down as the day went on, and some bigger scores came in. But, Tucson's always a great place to shoot. I know Florida is. I miss going to Florida. I got calls from several people. Where you at? And I'm like, well, we had to do some target testing, and this is kind of, and because I got a lot of friends down there in Florida and a lot of old timers that I don't get to see. But when I go to Florida, so
it was a lot of fun for sure. We really liked it. And I'm sad to hear about the back issue for you, Rick. I'm sure everybody was really sad to see you miss a bunch of those events,
Yeah. You were hoping I was at Southern Grand. No, the funny thing is, and it's not funny, but I've had a back issue before, and with doing something similar to, I was lifting up something probably I shouldn't have, a 400-pound hitch deal, and I did it then, and I think it was kind of similar, but I got home, and like I said, drove all night. I slept a couple, maybe 3 or 4 hours. I guess Justin drove a lot, and kudos to him. I mean, he's a truck driver, but he was fighting through it, and we were both trying to fight through it. We got home safe, but ended up on Tuesday morning, my art doctor, which is more of a muscle guy, chiropractic stuff, he got me in, and in about 35 minutes with some, pressure and bending and twisting, I was like, oh God. And I walked out of there, and I was like, man, that ain't bad. Drove up to Omaha, jumped on a plane, and it's actually feeling pretty good, but I'm not doing nothing crazy because my next shoot will probably be, I think, Vernal, which is a great shoot. Everybody needs to come out to the Western Grand once and see it, and then you always come back. So
I do love it. I really think it's one of the funnest shoots in the year to go to. They've got great hospitality, and Sean runs a great club. They throw a great shoot. I mean, I love it for sure.
Oh, absolutely. No, absolutely.
But it was a little windy at the Dollar this year. I mean, I feel like things were pretty sprung. I mean, just looking at the scores, it was a little aggressive. I mean, it definitely, I've been there many, many times, but this year I just felt like it was like, wow, you really had to push into a target with a lot of effort and a lot of force. Cole Henning ended up winning the high overall. He's a great shooter, obviously. And then Wyatt Redler won the high all around. Now, he had 384, and our good friend Mitchell Lovelace tied him, but I think Mitchell had to go back to work. I mean, so he forfeited that shoot off, so he ended up just leaving for it. And then for the doubles, Joe Breck, he had a 98, and Brady Duran broke 200 and won the singles. There was a shoot off. Dick Mavis was in it, and it was a good shoot off, but Brady ended up winning it. And then our other good friend Drew Feig, he broke a 95, and was on the 25-yard line. I think he punched out to the 26 or even the 27 now, but he got in a shoot off with a 95 with a couple other. I think one was a 22-yarder and one was a 23-yarder, and he ended up winning the shoot off. So he ended up winning the silver dollar handicap on Sunday. So
I saw a lot of that stuff go. So we were 3 hours apart. So it was funny, like the guys who go out to shoot, I'm looking, I'm like, man, they're already done shooting the doubles in Florida, and I was watching everybody's scores, and yeah, to go back on your singles over there, I know Dick Mavis was in the shoot off. It wasn't Tyler Honnold in that shoot off also?
I think so. Also, yes, he was. There's three 200s. It was Tyler. I'm pretty sure.
So that means with that, then some guy slid into runner up because they were all category. Who was that guy?
I got lucky. I broke 199, and then
in Florida.
It was me and Caleb Fisher who actually broke 199s in open men, and we walked up to the shoot off table. And we looked at each other, and I said, I'm feeling pretty gamey, but I got this quarter in my pocket. What do you want to do? And he said, let's flip. And I said, okay, I'm going to get you. Flip that thing. He called tails. It was heads. It was game over, before I even pulled the coin out of my pocket. But
did he check the coin?
No, I didn't let him check the coin. Never let him check the coin.
Well, and then, like going back on that singles, Dick Mavis, Dick Mavis is from Lincoln, Nebraska, where I'm at. You know, I did lessons with his daughter and his son-in-law Chase.
Yep.
Is a good
And
friend of mine.
they
I
were
just
there.
lessons-
Morgan and Chase came down. They
Yep.
all shot. It was their first time at the Silver Dollar, and they're doing this goal as a squad where they're trying to hit every satellite ground in America, and then after that they want to hit every state shoot. And I think that's kind of a cool goal, just to go around and check things out at least one time. And for Drew to win that on his first one down there, I mean, that was pretty impressive.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And that's, you know, looking at it is, you know, with them, they were at Vernal last year to shoot the Western. So to go down there and do that, and then, you know, Drew win the handicap, you know, kudos to him, you know. And so Joseph won the doubles, but you were also in that shoot off, I know. And I know you had a flight to get out, and it is kind of tough sometimes when you're trying. I've been in that situation, you know.
Yeah, and you know, it was my own fault. You know, just recapping it, I broke 98, he broke 98, and I knew we had to go out there, but my flight was at 6:45, and it was like 5:15, and they hadn't got us out yet. And so I said, hey, you know, if I get a referee, can we go shoot right now? And they get us out there, and you know, he misses the first target out in the shoot off, and I'm like, okay, I got this. Like, I got a 20 to break, and I'm like, if I break this 20, get on the plane, I'll make the flight, good to go. And so I get over to like the third of the first post, and I go dead lost on a pair, and it just deflated me because I'm like, I don't have time to go out and shoot another 20 birds. Like, I already knew it was either going to be this round or it wasn't going to happen because, you know, I had to make this flight. And so then I went dead lost again on the next pair, and he ended up winning, you know, 19-18. And he shot really well. I mean, the kid's a good shot for sure. But you know, I got to the airport, me and Zach Bryant, we were flying together, we were rushing, and we only had 10 minutes between when we got to our gate and when the plane loaded. So it was like, I didn't have any time. You know, Zach Bryant, we were checking in his gun, and one thing that held us up a little bit was he only had one TSA lock. So I had to sweet talk these TSA people because, you know, I'm like, man, you only got one lock. And he's like, yeah, they let it through in Lincoln. I'm like, you're not in Lincoln anymore. This is freaking Florida. I mean, they don't care. And so they gave us another lock and like sent us through, and it's good to go. Now he sent me a picture today. He's got like 15 locks in a bag. Like he's got locks everywhere. But I'm like, man, this is gonna hold us up a few minutes, but
you know,
we got through it. So
these dang accountants, you know,
I love that guy. You know, I can't say nothing bad about him. But
DB's good.
That was definitely funny. And he shot good handicaps all week. I mean, he was beating my butt in handicaps all week long. And I'm like, man, it was rough. It was a rough time.
I noticed. Yeah, I know. And with a Krieghoff also that, you know, he got through me and we got him set up, and, you know, and yeah, I know that Florida's a fun place to shoot. It can be difficult in the handicap. And like I said, I was looking at scores and, you know, and harassing you a little bit on the phone after Sunday, you know, when you had a little issue, and I was sitting in the clubhouse in Tucson, you told me to score, and I said, we're going to have to go over a little handicap issue on
I figured it out, but you know, it's not fun when you place a trophy in every singles and every doubles event and your handicaps are bad enough that you don't even get the overall or the all around, but hey, it is what it is.
You know, it's like, you know, years ago, someone used to say that all the time is, you know, good in singles, bad in handicap. Good in handicap, bad in singles. I'm like, I just try to be good in all of them if you can. Sometimes you're the bug, sometimes you're the windshield. But, you know, it is kind of funny. We've on that note, I will say, you know, we've had some people ask some questions about different stuff, and I've had a few people, you know, talk about yours and my relationship as far as like, man, you guys harass each other and stuff. You know, that's kind of our personalities. Zach and I always needle stuff. I mean, can be even worse than what we do here on Trap Talk sometimes, but it's all in fun. Zach's a past student of mine. You know, he left California as a homeschool kid to go to college at Lindenwood. He spent a couple days at my house in Lincoln on the way, you know, and I gave him the speech of, you know, go to college, you know, you can screw around, but do your stuff in 4 years, and then you can screw around, like, or go to college and party like a rock star for 4 years, and then you're going to be working hard for 40 years. And Zach did very good in college, and I used to fly over down and help the KBS club, the Mulberry Grove Aces, And I used to bring Zach along, and that's kind of how Zach got started in doing some lessons. Was, he used to help me as a kind of a little a junior instructor, so to speak.
Yeah, no,
You
it was
know,
it was a lot of fun.
yeah, and we, and back then, and we kind of myself and Dave Kelly from Northern California. Uh, Dave did more molding with Zach on the, beating him around, I think, a little bit, with his dad, Big Daddy, and Mama watching over him. But, you know, Zach and I do harass each other, and it's all in fun. And I'm always hoping, Zach and I shoot together a lot. So, we're all shooting together. We're hoping everyone in the squad shoots well because we've always said it, if you can be high on the squad, sometimes you might win the event.
Yeah, yeah, and I
So
think, just for everyone and listeners to know, I mean, we love joshing with each other, but I mean, if I'm not gonna win, I love it when Ricky wins, and I'm sure it's the same way for him to me. I
oh,
mean, and it's just it is what it is. I mean, you see your squad perform. I always want to lift people up, and I want to
yep.
see them do well, and that's just what it is. And and I can tell you, I had a rough time in handicap down there in Florida. I finally kind of figured out Randy Ross was behind me, and he's like, "Hey man, I think I know where you're at." And I was just lost. And as consistent as you are, when you look at that target, you're like, "Man, this is what it needs to be." When you get lost, you kind of need somebody to help you out. And
Yeah.
and when I got that help, I went boom, 23 on the back and felt really good and tightened it right back up. But it's just one of those
Well,
things where
you
you
you,
you
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 remember
lose
when
it and you got to find it again.
yep. Well, you remember when you called and you were like, man, I don't, I think you broke 87 that day, if I remember right. Or an 89. I don't remember.
Yeah,
It was
89, 87. I mean,
yeah. But you were like, man, I don't, Zach Bryant, I think broke 94 that day or 92. And you're like, I said, well, Zach, you really, in my opinion, in Florida, drive to a target.
yeah,
That's
and
how
I
I
think that was
yeah.
the thing that really helped is I was driving, but I mean really driving is what I needed to
Yep.
do, and I finally figured it out. But
Yep.
to shift gears a little bit, I really want to know about ACUIs. I know
Oh
you're
yeah.
down there right now. I know you've got a
Yep.
team down there. Tell the
Yep.
listeners what's going on and
So we're down here. Yeah, we're down here at ACUI Nationals, ACUI SCTP. They joined forces. Last week was the NCSSAA in Las Vegas. I couldn't make it out there because I had prior commitments with the White Flyer deal in Tucson. So we came to ACUI SCTP this year. Last week, shout out to Fort Hays State. They had a 500 by 500 in their singles out there.
good for them.
Yeah, which is cool. And I think they might have been high overall out of all the divisions, but they don't think they did that at that deal. But anyways, this week we got in. We shot skeet doubles today. Tomorrow we shoot trap and then trap doubles. And then Friday we shoot, I think it's sporting in the morning and then super sporting in the afternoon or vice versa. But yeah, so I brought 10 down. Today, my high kid was Cody I. He broke 98 in the skeet. And then Stephen McNeil, which Stephen's a trap shooter. Stephen does not done well on skeet. I mean, he shoots okay, but he ended up breaking 97
Good
in the
for him.
skeet, and he broke the last 74. He missed the high one, the second box, and then run him out. And he was like, he was having so it's cool. I mean, we had I think all in the 90s, mostly in the skeet. And then the skeet doubles. My kids don't shoot a lot of skeet doubles. So you know, they struggled a little bit, and targets were good though.
Yeah.
Everybody down here at San Antonio does a great job as far as the complex. This is one of my fun places to come. I've been down here, I don't know, 80 times or something, shooting state shoots. Back when they had the very first Southwest Grand was here and is actually called the Midwestern Grand still. So I've come down here for years, and Royce Graff, who runs the complex, he does a top-notch job with all his employees. They just really take care of the facility, and the National Skeet Association, National Sporting Clays Association's here. So the executive director, Michael Hampton Jr. I did talk to your pro staff, head of pro staff from your team Remington Team Federal today, Mike Hampton. We talked to
Hey,
him a little
Mike's
bit.
the
Oh
man.
yeah,
We love him.
Yeah, I've known Mike a long time, back when he had brown hair, I think. So, but yeah, it's a good shoot. I think there's around 800 kids, I was told, that are competing. Um, we'll be here till we're flying home Saturday night to get back. So I'm looking forward to the shoot. I hope the kids tomorrow's trap. So I'm hoping my kids can prevail, especially Peyton D. Tavernier.
Yeah.
Peyton's a lady captain. She's also Team Federal. So
Yeah, I mean, I know you got a pretty good trap team, to say the least. And you're a pretty good trap coach, to say the least. So hopefully they know how to hit a singles target by now, Ricky. I mean, that's my hope.
you know what? Some days at practice, here a couple weeks ago, Peyton's out shooting practice, and it's cold. I mean, it was 25-mile-an-hour north winds. It was like 12 degrees out. Wind chill was below zero. She goes out and breaks 100 straight in practice. And I'm like, so we have our shoot that we host a couple weeks ago. She goes out. First trap shoots like 3 or 4, and I'm like, okay. And we host it, so I'm in doing the scores and everything. So I go outside. Someone said she missed her. I go outside. She's standing there, and I go, she's bundled up like, what was his name? Ralphie from Christmas Story.
Yeah, you're licking the pole.
I'm like, take your gloves off. What is wrong with you? She takes them off. She misses like 1 out of the next 75. I'm like,
I wouldn't even have been out there. No chance in hell. So I have a question for you, Rick. You're a coach, and then you're obviously a shooter. Do you feel like it's more pressure and more stressful to watch your kids shoot now as a coach than it is to shoot your own high-end scores when you're out winning trophies? Or what do you think you feel more jive from when you're in the zone?
Well, I will say that when I teach, it's a little different. Like when I do a lot of private lessons, it's a little different than the college teaching and stuff. Yeah, I mean, I know these kids can shoot. I think sometimes I'm more cranked up than they are a little bit because I shoot all the disciplines. So sometimes they'll miss a target. I'm like in sporting, I'm like, why'd they miss that target? And then I got to think back, oh, well, they don't shoot as much sporting as I do, or they're not understanding the leads, on the targets and stuff. So, but it's yeah. I mean, when I go out and shoot, it's in a different world because it's what I do. But when I'm here with the kids, I want them to have a good time. It's not always about shooting, it's about some life stuff. And some people go, well, I like to see these kids, if anybody has any questions on stuff with my kids, I'm like, ask, no matter what. It can be shooting related. You don't have to be shooting related. You need help in anything, let me know. But like one of my girls, Jess Himmelberg, Jess is just a trap shooter. She struggled with skeet off and on today in the skeet doubles. I'll give a shout out to her. She ran the last 26.
Boom.
He's like, it was just clicking. She goes, I wish I could have just started from there. So
ready to go, baby.
It's cool to see that. That's what this is about. And, they'll look back on this.
It's great when you can see someone figure something out for the first time. I mean, especially I started just as a trap shooter. And then when I started learning those other games, it's just like, wow, when you ran your first box of skeet, it was like, oh my God, this was, the coolest thing ever. Like you invented fire. Right. And it's just different, but it's great what you're doing with that program, and it's great to see the youth sports grow. I guess, Ricky, for our younger listeners, what do you think is the direction of collegiate shooting, for them to get scholarships, for them to do what they need to do? I mean, do you feel like they need to be more specialized in one game like trap, or do you think they need to try it all? Or what would you give the young people as advice so that they can get the most out of their college experience and the most out of finding a university or a college?
Well, what I would say is, first, go try. If you haven't shot trap, or you haven't, most people have, but if you haven't shot trap, or you haven't shot ski, you haven't shot sporting, if you're just one discipline person, go shoot the other games so you have a little experience with it to get into college. So you're not just like a newbie and green at it. I mean, when I first started this program, I had all trap shooters. And I had a couple of them that had never shot skeet, or shot it little. And I'm like, okay, this is what we're going to do. Then I've had someone go on, they break 100 straights in skeet, or they shoot high 90s in sporting. But what you want to do is get out, shoot the other disciplines, ask questions, go to some shoots, compete in it, just have fun. I mean, that'll help you get into college where the coach goes, as far as the recruiting process, hey, have you shot this game? And you're like, absolutely. And that, versus no, then some coaches go, eh. Now for me, I go, okay, you never shot it? No problem. I'll get you breaking 25s. I'll work with it. So
yeah, and do you think from a scholarship standpoint, academics are more important, shooting's more important, a little bit of both, or what are you seeing being someone that's in that business?
This is my opinion, and my opinion only, because everybody's got an opinion. I've been a trap shooter for 35 years. And then the last 20-some years I've shot sporting and skeet. So I shoot all clay targets. I will say this. I believe academics, you need an education, whether it be, 4-year school, a 2-year school, a trade school, whatever it is. You can always shoot. I've got friends, we got a good friends, Jerry Williams. Jerry's a very successful, businessman. He had the company Potski Bait. Jerry's one of my squad mates, so sometimes to be successful in certain things, you might need an education, you might not. But majority of the time, the education, in my opinion, should succeed the shooting, because shooting you can always do. Now, getting into college, shooting will help you get a scholarship and help pay, for part of that schooling. So I think it's great, but I lean more on the education, because I think in today's society, you need a degree to, do about anything, or the trade schools. I got my oldest son, 22. He's a welder, and he loves it, and he makes good money. So,
well, and as a financial guy, I deal with people all the time, and I'm telling you right now, the lack of tradespeople in this country, it's crazy. We need welders, we need plumbers, we need carpenters, we need electricians, we need all of that. And if there's people that want to do it, that's what this country was built out of. So I think that's a great thing. And I think your message is lead with the GPA, and then shooting's got to follow with it. You've got to you got to have both to get the highest amount of dollars. Yep. Because I was homeschooled, and I didn't really have an established GPA. Thankfully, I was able to shoot pretty good, that they allowed me the opportunity to go in there. But once I got to school, I took it very seriously, and that was my thing. Was I wanted to have that high GPA then, and I was able to do that, throughout the 4 years of my master's degree. So, I appreciate Lindenwood for giving me that opportunity and believing that I could do it, and sometimes you take a chance on people and it works out well. But I think that collegiate shooting, I know you said Las Vegas was last week, and then ACUI was this week. Is there a lot of difference between the two tournaments, or, because they're both national championships, correct?
Yeah. They're both national championships. Now, the difference between the NCSSAA is, from my understanding, we didn't go, they shot like one event a day, and then the sporting clays, they split up. They shot like 50 one day and then 50 the next. Super sporting was the same way. So everybody was shooting on the same days, versus here, you can shoot skeet, trap, or sporting clays any days you want. You just sign up. So
I see.
Is that fair or not? I come down here and shoot the National Sporting Clays Championship, where you might draw one layout one day, and then the next day your buddies are shooting that layout, and the wind's changed, and it's all that. So it's kind of, everybody's got an opinion on it. To me, it's whatever. And I know, like, next year, I've heard, this is just rumor, I don't know for sure, but I've heard that the NCSSAA is moving. They're going to do like a rotating shoot to another location that's, determined. I don't know, to be determined. So I haven't heard yet, but we'll see how it goes. I'm more focused this week on the ECUIs, and then, getting back home to the family and seeing them for a few days. Then my wife's got a travel for work, and I've got clinics. The high school shooting in Nebraska is on the grind right now, so I've got to get in, and I got a bunch of students back home that are like, Coach, I need help.
Yeah.
So I've been doing some lessons over the phone and just some little pick me ups through text messages. And so, like I said, it's great. I love doing this sport. I love coaching. I love shooting. This podcast has really taken off, and especially, like I said, seeing a little kid out there, Brant, coming up, and it was kind of cool. And for all the listeners out there, if you guys have any questions at all, send them in to us. Zach and I might be able to do a live episode, possibly at the maybe at the Grand or something, or send the questions in, and we can like, hey, Jerry Williams from Scottsdale, Arizona asked this,
Yeah.
or something.
We're always willing to help.
Absolutely.
We're
That's why
always
we
willing
did
to help.
this.
And the purpose of this, I mean, me and Ricky have talked about it, is we want to give back to the shooting community as much as possible, because when I started, I mean, it was only a few shooters that would help me, the Ricky Marshalls, the Dave Kellys of the world, but it was individuals, right? I want to have this available for everyone across the country to be able to go in and pick the brains of the greatest that are in the country, either in the past or in now. And I think that's just going to lift the sport up, and it's going to help. It's going to help the sport in general. And that's what our purpose is. And that's what our mission is here. So, I appreciate everyone for listening. We've got some really great shooters coming up. Like I said, Nora Ross wants to do an episode with us. We've mentioned some other people that really want to be a part of it. And I think, next week we're going to shoot a lot of good content. So be on the lookout for who's coming up next. We're on the road these 2 weeks. So kind of special. What we want to do is just tell you what's going on and keep you guys involved, because we want to make sure you had something good. But is there anything you want to add, Rick? Is there anything about ACUIs that we're missing?
I don't think so. I mean, I'll give everybody kind of a rundown on the next episode, and maybe kind of who won or how things went, if there's any, good stuff coming of it. But, Zach and I are going to be doing a bunch of episodes coming up. Like you said, we're both going to be traveling, a little bit, quite a bit this summer, to shoot. So I'll be out on the East Coast. I go out to New Jersey coming up to teach a lesson, and the Krieghoff has a youth shoot that they sponsor at Pine Valley in New Jersey. So any teams wanting to show up to Pine Valley, and I think it's April 23rd, maybe is the shoot, or 24th. I can't remember the exact date. I know there's you can look on I think Krieghoff's posted something on their Facebook page or Instagram about it. But yeah, we're gonna go over some shoots, kind of where we're heading. I think on the next episode we'll talk a little bit beforehand on kind of the shoots where Zach and I are headed to, and if anybody's got any questions, like I said, reach out to us.
For sure. Well, I'm glad we were able to do this. I know you're really busy down there, so I appreciate you making the time. And we want to obviously thank our show sponsors. We've got Remington, we've got Wenig, we've got RM Shooting Clinics, and we've got Shot Tracker. So, thank you for having those great products and supporting the show. And we're going to definitely be here again next Friday with another great episode. So appreciate everyone listening today.
Yep, absolutely.
See you, Ricky. Have a good night.
See you, Zach.